Morning, folks. Still on cup number two, and just wanted to share a video on ISO 20022. In the previous video, I showed you how Standard Chartered is in. There was a speaker over at the Sibos conference, along with somebody from Swift, discussing the need for 24/7 access, always on access to people's accounts and crediting to their investments, and blockchain is what does that. So all along in our videos, I've always talked about ISO 20022 compatible and compliant coins, which is what XRP is, XLM is, Algo, XDC, HBAR, Cardano. Those kinds of blockchains are ISO 20022 compliant and compatible. And we're moving into a mandatory ISO 20022 language, which is what blockchain speaks. And it's mandatory in November. I've been giving you that date for a while. Now, this video is a little while back, about 3 or 4 months ago. But it's a young lady from Standard Chartered, the same bank on which you saw the previous video. And she's telling you, supposedly we're about 50% ready for it. Right now we have something called a coexistence. You're going to hear that at the beginning of the video. That means the old system and the new system are working together. So they're kind of assimilating, right? They're transferring to the new system slowly, which is how you would expect them to do it. They wouldn't just go cold turkey. It would cause a mess, I think. So they're transitioning to the new blockchain-based system. That's your ISO 20022. And November is the deadline. All Western banking needs to be operating on that language. And if you want to interact with Western banking, you better be able to speak that language too. And that goes out to all the countries who think they can come up with a separate system. That may happen, but I doubt it. And so that being the case, they're gonna switch over. And this is where I tell you, if you're invested in the right blockchains, and we get that Clarity Act, and we get that ISO 20022 mandatory date in November. By the way, it's not an accident that the Clarity Act is being worked on now, and I think I guess the chatter is that it should be done by sometime at the end of this year, possibly November. I wouldn't be surprised if those two things kind of happen at about the same time. Because you need clarity if you're going to move into an ISO 20022 system so that you can function. However, we already have the Genius Act, so most of this banking stuff operates on those stable coins, but those stable coins are built on ISO 20022 networks, which happen to be XLM, XRP, yada yada. I think you get the point. We're headed in that direction, and they're saying the quiet part out loud. So here you have Michelle Gowan. She's a cash market manager for transaction banking in Europe at Standard Chartered, the same bank that we discussed in the previous video, on the benefits of ISO 20022 for banks and its relation to enhancing cross-border payments. I wonder who's focused on cross-border payments from day one. Oh yeah, XRP and Ripple. So enhancing cross-border payments and global finance. So we've heard a lot about that with Ripple, but she's talking about it out loud now. And it's funny how American business media, you hardly ever hear that on Squawk Box or Fox Business or CNBC. You never hear it on Bloomberg. You almost never hear ISO 20022 on any of these networks. And it stuns me that they want to keep the American public in the dark about this. I mean, it's there if you look for it like I do, but I mean, you would think their job is to keep us informed, and here you have it. You're going to see that video there. Now, I don't know where that aired, but I don't recall seeing it on American media. So take a look at the video, listen carefully. Words mean things. And so you're going to see that they are giddy, they know it's coming, and they're ready. My question is, are you ready? Wrap your head around this stuff. Do not put a penny into any of this. I don't think you should anyway, into anything, unless you've wrapped your head around it. And it takes a little bit of time, a little bit of work, but you need to understand what's coming our way, whether you invest or not. This is going to be our reality. So take a look at the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and bookmark. And we will see you guys on the next one. Until next time, adios.
I feel like I've heard about 15 different ways of pronouncing ISO 20022. But with the deadline coming for that now for November 2025, that coexistence period, how would you say the transition has been globally?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We have been talking about ISO 20022 for a while, and it's certainly not new. It's been around for nearly 30 years. And in fact, the European banks were very much the front runners as they used ISO to embed in their payment systems, such as SEPA. So it's not new in that respect. It's just become a really key talking point as it's been rolled out for our cross-border payments as well as various high-value payment schemes across the market. So it's been very, very topical in that sense. Right now, we're about 2 months away from the deadline of the coexistence period. The latest data as of July shows that we're about 49%. So in essence, it's taken the industry over 2.5 years to go from 15 to 49. And the industry is going to have to take the next 4 months to go from 50 to get the remaining 50% that we need to meet the deadline.
You mentioned obviously at the start that we're still some way off from full global kind of coverage here, but what might global adoption of ISO 20022 mean then for cross-border payments going forward?
Yeah, so the reason, if we look back and say the reason why we embarked on this journey was really around global harmonization and to have our various market infrastructures speaking a common language. And ISO 20022 has been the foundational enabler for our G20 roadmap, where we try to achieve the targets around reduced cost, increased transparency, and improve accessibility to cross-border payments. So the reality is that we're still quite a long way from that. ISO 20022 has been a big leap in the right direction, but in order to achieve full interoperability and have that consistency in the experience, it's been a challenge because you've got various market jurisdictions, you've got different currencies, you've got different risk management frameworks. So ongoing collaboration amongst central banks, policymakers